There you go, a little Terry tape. Hopefully didn't traumatize anybody in a room with him getting out there, but hopefully maybe put a smile on your face. Wouldn't it be great if you all had a couple Terry tapes walking around in workplaces? Life might go a little bit easier. I know that got some security room, but bad to have Terry tape. Instead of Dr. Strong, just call him, right? Yeah, he'll come and take care of that. What's going on? Well, welcome. This is about my 9th, 10th, 11th session. I'm not sure. I was here all last week. Class sizes aren't as big today. I don't know if it's just a Tuesday or whatever. Hopefully it's not me. I heard people aren't coming because they're hearing on the street this isn't any good. But here's the deal. You're held hostage for about an hour with me. I'll say about an hour because that's what they've been going. Okay, and I want you to think about the time. If you think about the time, too busy doing that instead of listening to me when I'm talking to you and hopefully giving you some information. As I look out at my training classes, and I can figure out people pretty good because I do this for a living, I will look and see what we have. Okay, and you know there's always 3 types of people in trainings, and you're probably aware of them like I am. Okay, but I'm the one in front of you all, so I'm definitely more aware of who's in the room. You know, with every training class I have this group of people, sometimes smaller than not, sometimes fortunately, hopefully not any, but you know them snipers? Yeah, you know they're out there. They come into that training and they're just looking for anything you do wrong. And believe me, the worst thing I ever had in an evaluation sheet, the worst question you could ask anybody about a training is, what was the least likely thing you got out of this training? Because you always get an answer when you ask somebody that, right? And of course, when I look at that, and over the years, and I've had to become more thick-skinned in seminars and trainings, you won't have to do an evaluation on me for what it's worth. You're welcome to tell me what you think of it on your way out when I'm done with you. But I've had things over the years regarding my hair being out of place, yeah, my clothes not matching, all sorts of just those nice little personal insults, you know, that while I'm up here in front of you, I get to hear that would be out of it. So hopefully no snipers is all I'm asking, okay? And I'll be honest, my experience has been really good, and it makes this a lot easier. I'm looking again, and I don't see vacationers in the room. You know who those are. They bring everything they have to get done in that training time and with them to work, don't they? They bring all the reports, everything out, and they're going to do everything but listen to anything I have to say. My concern with the vacationers, you know what? They're always the ones in the evaluation forums or after the training going, I think I heard a lot what you said, Mike, but none of it really made or pertained to anything I do. How could you have heard or understood anything I said when you were spending more time getting everything you needed done in that time span, right, than listen to what I'm saying? So you have those vacationers. And then lastly, and I'll give yourself a lot of credit, and I'll be honest with you, that's why it's been such a good experience here at this hospital, you have your active learners. Active learners learn. And you got to be an active learner. All right, it's easy to just sit and think you're learning. You got to kind of try to get into some of the things that are coming across and actually pertain them into what you're doing. Okay? Saying that, time frame wise, what are you looking at? Because I know a lot of you got busy schedules. You start a few minutes late, but you won't be here probably past 3:30. Hopefully that makes you feel better. I don't know what you were told, all right, but that's kind of what you're going to get out of me, all right. I got it timed down pretty good right now. I should get you all out of here relatively right about 3:30 and get on with your day. Outside of that, if you haven't got a dose of me already, I talk loud and I talk fast. You want to know why? One is I never want anybody to say they didn't hear me, and everybody loves to sit in the back row, right? So I got to literally talk to the back row. These people up here would be hurting if they were sitting here right now because it sounds like I'm blasting them. Yeah. I never need a microphone, so they got me on tape and everything else here, so they're probably doing a good job of hearing me. And I talk fast. I'll be honest with you. The average person's attention span is about 17 minutes. So as you all sit here, think about that, because you'll start to go elsewhere, all right? Mine's maybe like 5, because I'm ADHD. Yeah, so I lose track real quick when I'm sitting and listening to somebody. So there's why I'm loud and fast, or else I won't get any information in through you at any point in time. So as I move through this PowerPoint, and again, you know everything's PowerPoint, right? I couldn't train without a clicker, right? I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I sit there and think about it. If I don't got a clicker, I can't talk, right? As I think in the days, I used to teach with overheads. Remember those? Some of you got overheads, right? Back in the day, you could work them overheads one at a time. Yeah. Now I can just walk around the room, look cool, point, click, and you just stare awkwardly at the PowerPoint there. But I'll take you through it. You got your handy-dandy workbook. That's yours to keep. All right, it's my prize to you, all right? And you get to keep the pens, I think. How about that? There you go. It's a beautiful thing. Get a pen, get a workbook. Now here's my concern. I've had some past knowledge that you guys have been semi-traumatized with workbooks and other trainings. I'm not here to do that. Yeah, I work on the street. I don't want to go there. Yes. You are not going to be yelled at to write stuff down. Yes, I am not here to do that to you. That workbook, you write whatever. You can even write, you don't like me in there. You're taking it with you. I don't care. Yeah. I'd prefer you don't make a paper airplane out of it and throw it at me. That wouldn't be kind. But you write whatever. If you like something I say, write it down. You might. Something may make sense. And actually you take away with it. That's yours to keep. I have no quorums, whatever you do with it. Again, I'm not going to point out and say, you need to write that. You better write that. You're not paying attention to me. No, no, no. Nothing, so on and so forth. I want to make this at least a semi-pleasant experience for you and get you on with your day. And I appreciate you being here. I will walk. I've got used to this side of the room for some reason. All right. As a trainer, I got to realize sometimes I got to go around the room sometimes. But I'll probably just migrate back and forth right here. So I'll try not to stay anytime, any place, so you can see what I'm talking about up here. Yep, there's my man Terry Tate. Okay, he's got lots of videos. Feel free on there. I just picked that one because in your work climate like mine, it just kind of makes you laugh. You just wish that you had somebody running down your hospital all the time treating those people like that. It would clean things up rather quickly. Yeah, you wouldn't have as much workplace violence. I can guarantee that with a couple Terry Tates rolling around. Particularly probably one in your emergency room. That'd be a nice place to have them, huh? That you'd be there. How about me? And this is not by no means for Mike to go ahead and throw around his accolades. I just always find that if I'm in a room and I got to listen to somebody talk to me, I want to at least know they semi-know what they're talking about. Okay? So I have been a safe crisis management trainer for years. Okay? I did acquire my master's in counseling psychology when I was at Slippery Rock. Went there out of time in the Navy. Played football there. Got my degree in phys ed. Started working at a place called George Jr. Big, large residential treatment facility. They continued to further my education, so I was able to go back, acquire my master's. 2005, I got licensed as a professional counselor. Basically, next to a doctorate degree, the highest I can get as far as Pennsylvania-wide to get my counseling status. A couple years ago, I acquired my master aggression replacement trainer status. You will get a little bit of that from me. Because a lot of workplace violence, almost all workplace violence, and all crisis situations stem from aggression. So we got to figure out how to deal with it. It's not going away. So the one thing I am pretty well versed in is how to handle aggression. And I do workshops in different places, groups, and that type of thing. So you will get a little dose of that from me while I'm with you. Currently working on more letters. Master of Social Work candidate. I should finish up next year at Edinburgh online. Again, not trying to go around bragging about these letters after my name. I probably have enough to play Scrabble with at this point in my career. Yeah. Hasn't really made me any smarter, but definitely made me more promotable and hopefully more qualified to come talk to groups like you. I do work in my full-time capacity as a staff trainer, consultant, and evaluator. That's what I do for a living. All right, so when I come here, I am actually out of JKM, which just stands for Joe Mullen. All right, it's just his initials. A lot of you may have seen that movie, The Firm, with Tom Cruise. They're kind of equivalent to like what trainers are. They're this very small, well-organized. They have come up with a lot of this material over the years. Joe started this back in the 70s. He's kind of like the guru of it. And they're based out of like Carlisle, PA. I happen to be on this side of the state. I live in Grove City, all right? And they utilize me as a part-time contracted trainer, so I have opportunities to go around and train people like you in your setting. So that's where I'm from today. So if you're aware of now, you know what JKM and what that comes from. And obviously, if I'm sitting down doing this, when I was doing this PowerPoint, getting ready to come down here a couple weeks ago, my daughter was sitting at the table with me, my 7th grader. Well, she said, Dad, probably the most important thing you are is a coach in my fast pitch softball team, right? Yeah. You know them volunteer coaches like me. Isn't life great for us? If you ever volunteer coach for something, you know how to handle crisis situations, don't you? Absolutely. In this generation, I don't know if I go back and forth on it, that texting is great or not. Because people find it much more apt now that they'll tell you things in text they wouldn't tell you in person, won't they? I even love the capital letter texting. Isn't that great? You're getting yelled at in text now? And is this mean? What did I do wrong? I didn't play your daughter enough innings last night? Oh yeah, after every game I get the rigmarole, that type of thing, but I enjoy it. We had a good game last night, won the game, and again, it's helped me deal with people in a different facet in life. There's me, all right? That's all you need to know about me, that type of thing. But why are you here? Well, we want to increase your understanding of potential for workplace violence because it's there and it's not going away. All right? Unfortunately, in our society, more and more cases of this are happening. We'd like to create a capacity for prevention of such behavior. All right? And a lot of what I'm going to focus on with you all is going to be more you and prevention. I've realized in society in general, and where I work at, probably where you work at too, and it's just the way it is sometimes, we are definitely more reactive, right? Something bad happens and we say, well, wait a minute, we can't have that happen again. We better figure that out. Why don't we go the other end sometimes to try to get ahead of the game? Try to see things before they happen. Take some initiative, be innovative, look at things, okay?
So let's look at the prevention factors. A lot of times the best ideas are in your mind, but we just don't share them with people. And I'm hoping during the short time I have you, I can give you some type of capacity to diffuse and de-escalate potentially violent situations. Ultimately, what's going to happen out of this, though, the things that I can't teach you are the most important things anyways. All right? You got to have common sense. You really do. In this world, common sense is not so common, I'm finding, right? You just see people do things all the time, and you go, wow, really? Come on. That would be. I can't teach you not to be mean. If you're mean, you're mean. I don't know. We got to work with you. You got to get that mean out of you, because mean's not doing anybody any good. That would be with it. Can't teach you like your job. Again, getting back to that, there's not much I can do there. If you don't like what you do, you're going to struggle. And whether you know or not, you're creating chaos. And the way I see life, there's two things on any given day you can be. You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. I know that sounds simple, but it's true. I don't need problem causers in my work environment. I don't. We have enough of it anyways. We got to look at solution-focused things, strength-based, things that we can do to actually make our workplace setting better. How about some of the basics? This is probably overwhelmingly my message to you all today. Let's be positive. Let's try to find a way to be positive for our environment, for what we do, and everything going on around us, because it's too easy to be negative. And I say that because my first day I came here, all right, and I wasn't aware of really how to get to anywhere. I walk in the front down there in the lobby and ask for directions to get to where I got to get back here. And a nice gentleman takes upon himself to walk me down here. And you know what he was called? I didn't realize that you call it like your volunteers at the desk, concierge. Did you know that? You're concierge. That's pretty nice, isn't it? Yeah, you know you got volunteer concierge working your desk. I guess concierge is a French word for volunteer. Now I learned that, but I didn't know that. Yeah. He walks me down, he's talking, he's nice. By the time he got here, I thought I had to tip him. I'm like, here's a 10 for the walk. I was like, yeah, I appreciate that, my man. But right off the bat, I felt good. And if I'm a visitor in your hospital, isn't it good to feel good than bad? Yeah. Maybe whatever I came in with those issues, maybe you're already out the door because you just treated me like a person with some dignity. And I realize in life that's what a lot of people want. A positive atmosphere is always going to head off a lot of violent acts or crisis situations. At least some. At least some. Let's not contribute to them. Know your safety policy and procedures. If you don't, find out. I'm not as well versed as yours, but I'm pretty with mine at where I work at. I get calls all the time. Hey, Mike, what's the situation with this? What should I do in this situation? It's my job to know them. It's my job to help staff know them. It's your job to know your policy and procedures. So if you're not, read up on them when they come out. Make sure you know what's going on. There is always violence potential. It's not going to go away. All right? We could decrease it. We can maybe try to get ahead of it. It's just the way it is. All right? And we're going to talk about that to a certain extent. Hopefully less than more. But I just had one of your security last week show me a picture of how somebody gave him a good punch in the face. Unfortunately, you have your population of the who's, when's, and where's. We're going to talk about that. It was a substance abuser. And you know you're going to have that. And people act out violently. You know, so the situations are not going to go away. And again, the better we are understanding that, we'll have to understand our who's. Always cover your W's with anything. The who's. And we'll talk about who the who's are. And you probably know already. You probably have dealt with them. The when's. There is a when to some things. You work in a very dynamic, flowing atmosphere. I do too. Where I work at, it's open 365 days, 24 hours a day. I'm pretty sure you guys are, right? I don't think you don't close down. I don't think there's close down time. No. What that means, it's dynamic and it's ongoing. Every time I walk through your lobby, go back outside, come back in, it just is always nonstop. It's like the TV shows. There's people walking the halls talking all the time. Everybody's around. Everywhere's going on. Okay? So you got the who's, you got the when's. By the way, too, I like when a lot of parents will ask me for advice and why they're having issues with their kids at certain times. Here's one thing I would recommend if you have young kids, and I recommend this to everybody. Don't take your kids to Walmart between 9 and 11 o'clock at night. Really? Do I need to tell you that? Yeah, you may have a behavior issue with this. Yeah, young person, because they shouldn't be up 1. 2, you shouldn't be at Walmart. All right? There is something to the when factor when you factor anything in. The where's. Some of you know your hospital real well, okay? I'm going to narrow in somewheres, but then I'm going to tell you it can happen anywhere. All right, just the nature of what we do and how you do it. And that's more what I want to get to today, because there's certain things we can and can't control. You can't control everything going around you, but what you can control is you. And we can contribute to it. We got to find a way that actually we become part of the solution, and that's what I want to work with you on today. How about creating a positive climate? How do we do it? Well, as a consultant, when I get asked to go anywhere, and they say, hey, Mike, can you just give us some tips? Just walk around and do that. And that's what I've done with your hospital. I've just kind of walked around. If somebody asked me, Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is make things organized and structured. Because ultimately, when there's not organization and structure, you know what it creates? Anxiety. You know what anxiety becomes? Frustration. Frustration blows up into anger. And anger usually causes violent acts in crisis situations. We want to be as structured, organized, and again, getting back to that friendly environment, it helps. It helps, because negativity, unfortunately, breeds negativity. Positive actually breeds positive. So again, if you're not in your outside world, I really don't care. That's your option. All right? Not always have to be as anal and OCD as I am. I have to be very plan-oriented, I have to have my stuff structured, or I struggle in my world. All right? I don't do well. But at work, I'm going to highly advise that. Look at your work areas, try to find a way to make them more structural, to make my staff more friendly, all right, and to be more organized. So that in turn is going to help me be ahead of the game. Warm and concerned. Again, I have been very fortunate. I just talked to Joe Mullen earlier. Charlene was in the room, and Charlene said some positive things about me, but in all reality, I was just very pleased with this climate. I joked earlier about the snipers. I haven't had any. That's weird, because where I work at, I got the snipers all around the room. I'm feeling them at me. Yeah, they would be out of it. It's good to feel like people are warm and concerned a little bit about you sometimes. And it goes a long way, particularly in a hospital setting, the best you can. And again, patient-visitor concern communication, the best of your ability. The best of your ability. We like that feeling. When people feel like that you're concerned about what they're saying and what they're talking about, they're more likely to tell you things you need to know. Now I'm going to make real simple things available to you that in situations you could bypass some violent acts and they may never happen and you may never know you did what you need to do that. Be available for people. Most of the time when I found crisis and violent act situations, somebody was trying to tell somebody well before, but nobody was listening. And then it finally came out, and it came out the wrong time, wrong place. Have your ears aware. If somebody needs to talk to you and you think it's important to listen to them in the capacity of your job, go ahead and listen to them for that few minutes. You might find out something you need to know. And then positive presence again. I can't make you, to a certain extent, go around smiling all day. You're going to look weird. You know that overly happy person? Yeah. Don't we have like issues with them sometimes even? Yeah, you're just too happy. You're bothering me, right? Yeah, I know. Where I work at, it's the opposite side. Even a semi-happy person is not liked. A lot of people like to be negative. It makes things, better in their world. So again, I'm not expecting you to walk around with this joker face all the time, like you're on some meds that make you kind of have issues. No. But I am saying a smile will hurt occasionally. Do not always look like you hate the world. Might help matters. And think about it. Now when I say this stuff, you're going to take it and leave. Count the interactions you have sometimes that are really upbeat and positive. You almost walk away kind of going, that was weird. Don't you? When you walk in the store and you have a nice interaction, you almost walk out going, what was that all about? That person was way too nice to me. I better go back and ask them what they're on, right? What's their issues? We do. We do, because we're more prone. And again, I'm not picking on Walmart people, but it's just funny because Walmart's just perfect for psychology people. When we walk in there, we're just looking all around the place and figuring things out. That they always have all these things over them, right? Can I help you? Yeah, right. Customer service first, all that, right? You ever try to get somebody to help you? People are ducking them behind boxes, running down different aisles, right? Yeah, it's like everything but. Then when you come across that person that actually has that positive presence, actually concerned and communicated, you're like, wow, that feels good. So again, it's needed general, everywhere, at any time. How about your responsibility? I've already kind of put something out there. Understand your policy procedures. That's for you to understand. A lot of times when things happen that shouldn't, somebody didn't know what they should be doing. All right? I've learned a little bit about your hospital. I know vendors have to check in, right? I like that. All right? I like you came up with something. I did think on the other end, though, can't anybody else walk in your hospital at any time? Really, you can, can't you? In and out that door. You even have the cool revolving door. So we could just keep going in and out all day if we want, right? Yeah, we can go in and out. But we could come in, we can go out. When I first came in on first day, nobody didn't know me from nothing. I walked in with my laptop, my stuff like that. I could walk right up in here at any time and do anything. So again, understand your policy procedures. Understand that the fact that, if you don't know something, seek clarification. Sometimes we don't understand, and we need to make sure we do. So be aware of that. And there's what I just said, raise your safety issues. All right? Your sign, I think, says vendors check in, and it'll say, like, no smoking on the premises or something like that. But it doesn't say, no people coming in here and please going off in my facility, does it? Yeah. No violent acts, please, today, right? None of that stuff. We can't put the no with that, but we can put no's with certain things. So you're probably more prone to raise safety issues than anybody else because you're here. You're going to see things. hey, that don't seem right. Hey, maybe I should just bring that up, okay? Because I still always go back to the fact gut instincts probably are better than anything else. Almost every time in every work setting, every situation I've been in that's been crisis-oriented, it's like my gut instincts kind of tell me what to do. And that's kind of where you're at. If you see something that don't look right, please tell somebody. Communication is key in any organization, to tell it. And again, I don't want you hyper-vigilant. You know what that means. I don't want you on this all the time. Oh my God, is that person going to do that? Is that person right? What kind of job could you do at work then? You're going to be on your toes and just stretch yourself out all the time. But the other end, I always tell staff to never get complacent, particularly in your work setting. Too much going on, too quickly, too fast, all the time. People working long hours, long shifts. People coming in, dealing with all these things in their lives and all these type of things on it. So be aware, that's what I'm going to tell you. Your awareness a lot of times can avoid a crisis situation without any happening just because you're kind of seeing things before they happen. It would be with it. Well, who? And again, a lot of you already seem to know the who's. As I've gone through the group, this didn't really surprise anybody, particularly in your setting. Your substance abusers, obviously. Worked with the DNA population for a lot of years, both adults and adolescents. And I found that when they're off, they'll do anything to get back on. And if you're in their way, they'll do anything to get through you. All right? It's unfortunate, but it's the case. So you want to do the best you can in your ability to understand what's going on. In fact, I think that situation with the one security guard was regarded as a substance abuser. All right, that had happened. Maybe either been off or on or whatever the reason. There you went. Criminal justice population. You have it in your hospital. That's primarily what I work with. All right, George Jr. That's what we do there. We work with the criminal justice population. You don't know, again, people in your hospital have a criminal record or not for the most part. You don't. I've been aware because I heard there were cell phones being stolen prior. All right, here that somebody was going around stealing cell phones. I keep mine back in that table. Hopefully nobody's going to steal it today. But I might want to be aware of that. That might be going on. There's another issue. And this is just the way it's going, okay? I know you have part of your hospital that deals with the mental health patients. They're probably more equipped to be ready for that. On the other end, for a lot of you that don't work in that part, and you have visitors and family and other people in your hospital, you don't know who's mental health or not. Do people walk around when they go in your hospital and say, I'm bipolar, just so you know? Right? Yeah. I have intermittent explosive disorder. You might want to be aware of that, because that means I might snap anytime. No, you're not going to know that. You don't know who has and who doesn't. So you have to almost take it into account at any time. And by nature, people don't go up and tell you. They're not going to check in the desk and say that. All right? Here's all my issues. Here's my mental health issues. You might want to be aware now that I'm in your hospital what you have with me. Not so much. So be aware. By the way, if you're not familiar with the DSM-4, which comes out, or the DSM to start with all the diagnoses, all right? Because you don't get a psych eval on everybody in your hospital either, okay? But that's where it comes from, on Axis 1. There used to be a book like this maybe. You know what that book's like? It's like this now. There's a disorder for everybody. I have one for you. If you want a disorder bad enough, I can find one for you. Yeah, we could all have a disorder in our lives. So the mental health patients aren't going away, is my point being. Mental health population, period, isn't. It's going to stay around, and we're going to have to continue to work with those. Obviously, emergency room patients, frustration is another key reason why people eventually end up in some type of crisis or violent act. Frustration builds to aggression, aggression goes off, and then we have a bad situation happening. In our day and age, and I'm finding to be the case, everybody needs everything done now. I can't wait. I want to be the first patient seen. I don't care if that other person's having chest pains. I have a hangnail. I go first, right? That's the way you feel. You not only become frustrated, so do they. And it's a bad combination. And eventually it goes to bad places. So your emergency room patients, no matter how well you run your emergency room, never going to be fast enough, never going to be good enough, never going to be quick enough. By the way, if you can, though, great de-escalator with people. If you can meet their needs as soon as you can, it's always better. Or at least give them the reasoning why you won't. All right, get to them, keep them on so they don't get to that point. Do the best you can there. Your family and visitors, and I'm not here to pick on people's families, okay? But when I have a patient I'm struggling with, it doesn't take too long to figure it out when all their family shows up, does it? Yeah, like, all right, I see where this all comes from. Yeah, okay, now this is great. I got a whole room full of you. This is even outstanding. Yeah, there it is. And then the visitors, again, like I said, I've been walking through your hospital. I don't know who's a visitor, who's not half the time. I'm just looking around, just soaking in the people, because that's just what I do for a living. And then here's what I really want to concentrate on, though, because in all reality, none of that stuff you can control. But you can't control you. And that's one thing we can take out of the equation. If we're one less reason that any type of workplace violent act happens, good for you. That's all we can do. I'm not a big stat person, but I can't help it. I get stats in my head. I hear them. I find that sometimes they're useful in teaching. Well over 50% of most violent acts in any workplace setting, including mine, are staff caused. Think about it. We are as much as part of the problem at any time there is a thing happening as anybody else. So let's at least take ourselves out of that equation. If we can say something happened, but I did everything in my power to not make that happen, good for you. Because you can't control everything, but you can control yourself. So take into account your own self and what you're bringing to the table. Well, there's potential for violence again anywhere. But some of the major areas in your, obviously, your emergency rooms. Anybody can walk through that main door and there's so much going on and it's so hectic and people are so frustrated. It's a difficult environment. So it can. All right? Thank goodness you got the security you do at your hospital. Mental health units. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's what I do for a living. All right? Work with the mental health population, criminal justice. That's just the case. By the way, most violent acts are not premeditated. They're spontaneous. That's where they're spontaneous. Weren't planned, but it just came. What's that?
It just snapped.
Just snap. Absolutely. Same thing when we work with the kids we do. They didn't plan to snap. They just snapped. Things went bad, and that's why I'm going to take you through an aggression cycle to show you why people do snap at times. Because it does. It goes in your head. But yes, your mental health units. And the unfortunate reality in my profession, I'm not in as much anymore, but early on in my career, I used to run intensive supervision units. I was a campus supervisor, similar to what your security does. I was in well over probably 100 physical interventions. Kids start fighting, I can't take bets who's going to win, right? Got to go and stop it. But when I went back over my career and working with the mental health patients, that I did find there was a physical intervention or crisis to be had or not to be had in any given day. Matters how your approach was. So there was probably hundreds upon hundreds I never had it happen. Able to see it before it happened, talk to this person, so on and so forth, because you're not going to be able to eliminate that. Your mental health units, your mental health patients are going to continue to happen. Patients' rooms. When I talk about certain reasons that why people do go to crisis or act out, well, one is, and I'm going to hit on it later, but sometimes anything can happen if we've been traumatized. It takes us back to a trauma mode. This is why a lot of times, a lot of you can't understand when you go in a patient's room why their change of behavior happened in a hurry. Well, we'll hit on that here shortly, and I'll explain that. And then your nurses' stations. And again, those of you that work at those stations probably know it's a crazy place sometimes. And crazy, unstructured, unorganized, and when people feel overworked, burnout, all those type of things can create chaos, and next thing we know, we have a violent act. And that's where it usually comes from. And then I'll tell you everywhere else. Cafeteria could be one. All right, somebody didn't get the soup they wanted. Could be an issue, right? Yeah, you cut me off the line. Uh-oh. Well, yeah, it's going down now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, anywhere, anytime. Hot rooms. Does anybody like to be real hot? I don't. Makes me angry. Yeah, hallways. Anywhere, anytime, any place. Now, going back to that, I don't want you to be hypervigilant. Now you're going to be walking around the hospital and, oh my God, he said something can happen here, there. No, not all the time, but those are your four majors, but anywhere else, too, can be in there. This is not in your workbook, but feel free to write any of this stuff down. It's not copyrighted. This was one of the things I'd be pretty well versed in to explain and teach when I went through my master aggression replacement training process for a couple years. And it's not as difficult to explain, really, if you think about it. It's mostly common sense. There's a crisis cycle, and if you can't read it, that's all that says up there. We constantly are living in crisis cycles. Our patients, our visitors, our guests, everybody in your hospital is going through crisis cycles. What you have to understand is you can't be going through theirs to help them through or yours when you're helping them through theirs. Why do I say that? Because every day, every time, something's going to go on, some stimulus, some invitation, some trigger is going to start this whole cycle from going. Now, why do I say that? Because it starts internally in your brain. Unfortunately, our brain, the way it operates, about 80% of the first thing stimulus said to us is almost always our response is negative. Think about the last time any of you were asked by your boss they need to talk to you, right? Tell me what your first response in your brain was. Yeah. Uh-oh. What'd I do? Oh, this ain't going to be good. It goes negative. We know that. We don't even know why it's negative. I didn't do nothing wrong, but why am I feeling this way, right? Yes. How about the last time any of you called your kids out of the room to talk to them? What'd I do? Right? Oh, no. Well, then you kind of ask them, what did you do? Yeah, right? Yeah, you said you're willing to share. Yeah, no. But it's almost always negative. You know why? Because in general life, it usually is negative. So anything external now that happens, which we can't control, by the way, you can't control the external stuff, makes us immediately go down this road of thoughts that usually are negative. On average, your brain processes about 1,200 words a minute. I didn't sit around and read somebody's brain and figure that out. Somebody told me that, by the way. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool if I could have did that. But when you think back to the 1,200 words, what's been researched, you know about how many of those words are positive? About 100. It's a lot of negativity in your brain, isn't it? I know it's a little bit now right going through. I can see it. I can't see it, but I know it. Yeah, I know that's some of that. So we're going to be prone to think negative. That mind's a powerful thing. But the difference is what's going on in your mind, like that Terry Tate was doing. We can't see. I can't see this with my patients, my visitors. I can't even see with you right now. I could try to think I know what you're thinking, but I really don't. I don't have a clue. What I can do, though, is see this. And you can see this with people. You can see their feelings, can't you? Yeah. You usually can. People will show what they're thinking with their feelings. And if it's negative, then it looks negative there. You're usually going to tell. So now you're starting to pick up on some of the cues of what your people in your hospital are giving you. And I would be picking up on them. Because this is where we can get ahead of the game. Can't see what they're thinking, but I see this is not so good. Because the feeling comes out from that negative thought pattern. There's your action, which unfortunately, if it's unacceptable, all right, there's going to be some type of consequence involved. It's a non-stop crisis. All right, difference in your world, you probably deal with crises pretty good and move through them and get by them. And those things happen. But your patients, your visitors, the people you deal with, it's not so going so well when you're in theirs and they're in theirs. That's going around. I teach a lot of things in threes. And again, some of the stuff I picked up on my own and made up on myself or heard. But with aggression, here's how it works. Okay, particularly in a crisis cycle. When something starts going bad and we do that unacceptable action, the consequence initially, 10 seconds later, for example, is usually feels pretty good. Think about it. When you get to the point that somebody's got you and you just need to do something about it and you want to act out or you want to hit them or do something aggressive, 10 seconds later you usually feel good. You do. Here's the issue. This is what I teach people. Then there's this unfortunate 10 hour later, right? Oh, man, that ain't going to go well. I know what I'm expecting to go back to work tomorrow. Jeez, or I got a charge on me, or I got this, that, so on and so forth. 10 hours later, when you act out aggressively, it never turns out usually well. Then there's that long-term consequence, 10 days later. Now we're really kind of looking back and going, oh man, I just set myself back months or years or whatever situation you got yourself in because you acted out in a bad time, in a bad place because you're in your crisis cycle that made it worse. So again, think about it. Aggression actually feels good at first. It feels good to do something. That 10-second thing. But if we can control our aggression and help our patients and people in our hospital control theirs, you're going to have less acting out. And we're going to do the best we can to do that. Now, saying that, let me take you through something real quick. I've helped all your groups so far. And whether you like this or not, it's evidence-based practice. If you don't know what evidence-based practice means, it's been researched to be true. All right? I'm going to help you help yourself when you're dealing with the people you're dealing with in your hospital. Because something's going to happen when you leave today, and you're going to need something to help you. Something's going to happen externally that you can't control. Whether somebody gives you a dirty look, walks by you, cuts you off in line, says something you don't like, it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen as soon as you leave here. All right, that would be with it. So your first mindset is going to be, unfortunately, and I expect it to be, negative. But here's what happens. When you start to think negative, you start to show your negative feelings, and you all know your own. Mine, my heart races a little bit, all right? I know how Mike gets. I get like the kids I teach at Georgina a little bit. I get swole. I'm like, why am I feeling like my muscles will tighten up? They don't need to. Yeah. Your body's starting to react to that aggression in your mind going to your body. So you can identify your cues. Here's where the help comes. And I want you to try this, all right, when you leave today. When you know your body's getting the best of you and you're getting angry, you still got help on the way. Take a deep breath. I know it's silly and it's old school and it's all, that. But I want a deep cleansing breath. I literally want wherever you work, bring yourself back for a second. The oxygen intake actually helps your brain offset what's going on with your body. All right? There's why that works. And the last time I checked, nobody's told me you don't have a no breathing rule, right? Are you allowed to breathe and wherever you do? I hope so. Yeah. All right. I'm just doing this deep breath, that would be. Yeah.
I know it works. I do it all the time.
Do you? Good. I usually find it does with most people. But I even got more for it. The deep breath will be a start, because here's the thing I get in all classes, that people, like psychologists or those that will be like, yeah, Mike, I'm real good at progressive relaxation. I do it all the time when I'm at home. How are you going to do that in your workplace? I'm going to spend a half hour doing all this progressive relaxation. The rest of you are going to be like, what are you doing, right? Yeah. A deep breath in a moment will work, though. A deep, cleansing, through your body breath. Here's the other two things you can do. All right, these are three because they're on hand anytime, any place, and they're quick. This is why I'm giving them to you. Count backwards if you can. Start from a number, though, like high, like 66, 63, 60. If it helps you, do them. Now, here's what I don't want. And I teach this too. Don't go 5, 4, 3, 2, right? Lift off. That's not what I'm looking for. So if counting backwards don't work for you, don't use it. But the deep breath usually always does. The one place, the thing that I think works better than anything is your happy place. I've been told sometimes you guys call these happy trainings because you come down here and we have to convince you to be happy all the time, right? Come to happy time. Yes. Now you're supposed to love your job, go out there, work, all that stuff. Yeah, that would be. But I do encourage going to pleasant imagery. It's in your mind. All right, you can go there anytime you want to. And all of us have our pleasant imagery. Hopefully you do anyways. There's something in your life you enjoy. Something you can go to when you're having that bad day, when you take that deep breath. Whew. All right, I'm just going to go to that place that makes me feel good right now. All right, got it, good. Because what you've done, you've tricked your mind almost indirectly and your body to kind of start to calm itself down the other end. Because now you can think straight. When you can think straight, you can do this. I want you to go after you took your deep breath, go to your happy place. I want you to look down at your wrist or wherever you need to go and give yourself another little reminder statement. Let it go. It's not worth it. It's not me. It's them. Yeah. Whatever works for you. Whatever you need. It has to be short, has to be sweet, it has to be positive or don't work though. All right? And it's in your own head. This is the nice thing about all this. Nobody even knows you're doing it. You went to your happy place, you took a deep breath. They might have saw the deep breath. And you went to your little reminder statement. And during that time, whether you know it or not, you may have bypassed something you wish you wouldn't have done in hindsight. So again, there's your little, I role play that with kids. I go through it. I teach them it. We do it week by week by week. I don't do it all that quick. But try it today. Try it sometime. Take that deep breath. Go to your happy place. Give yourself a nice little reminder statement and see if it helps you bypass an aggressive situation. Here's a lot of the reasons why violent behavior happens, though. There's three majors. Carry-in is one. And I could just picture with people. When I'm walking through your lobby, I just picture this person coming in, and they have like 2 or 3 bags I can't see with them. And what that is, that's their emotional baggage. They're bringing it in with them. They didn't leave it in their car like you wish they would. It's coming in the hospital with them. Okay? So most of the time, unfortunately, when somebody has a violent act, you know where it comes from? Nothing happened here. It happened there, and you didn't see it. People, by general, have a very difficult time leaving their problems where they should to deal with other problems. They get worse by the minute. Okay? So just venture that you know you're dealing with a lot of people in your hospital that are bringing issues that you have nothing to know. Carryover is kind of different. It'd be like some of you today would have started your day off. I don't know how your day started. I know it's about 3:15. I don't know if your day's been good or bad. I can't tell. Most of you seem like you're in a good mood, which is nice. Okay? But a lot of times when we work with people, particularly in your setting, and they don't get what they want early in their day, what do you think they're like by the middle of the day? It's worse, isn't it? Yeah, they usually don't get better on their own. They're not. It's going to get worse. And by the time it gets too bad, there's usually a blow up. So again, if we can, to the best of our ability, be available, go to people when we think they need answers. A lot of times you may or may not be able to give them what they want, but sometimes we can help them resolve at least somewhat their issues. It's helpful. Okay? And then when I was talking about your patient's rooms, that past trauma piece, you may have this happen on occasion. You may walk in and see your patient was fine 15 minutes ago, but you walk back in, and for some reason they're just all now, crying or distraught. And you're like, wow, what happened? Did I do something? Well, what you don't know is they just saw a scene on a show about domestic violence that put them back to a place where maybe they've been, and it takes them right back to that bad time in their life. And particularly with your transitional assessment, when most people go back to bad things happen in their life, is all the transition. You're non-stop. It does. It's like all these things going on around me is just constantly reminding me of past trauma. The other thing a lot of people with trauma do, they don't walk up to you and go, hey, by the way, I've been abused for a lot of years. You might want to know. So if I act bizarre, don't worry about it. It's just my past abuse. No! Not going to happen. You have to only guess to a certain extent the trauma that could have happened in certain people's lives. Loss of personal control and power, that's always going to factor in. Nobody likes to feel powerless. That's usually a lot of times when people act out. Frustration, again, I don't know what to tell you. In our society, I'm realizing more and more too along the way. I realized in my years, I'm 42 now, when I was in my 20s, I drove everywhere as fast as I possibly could. Because I just had to get there, right? That meant orange lights meant speed, right? Yeah, that didn't mean slow, that means get through it in a hurry. Yeah, you got to hit it. Get older, you have kids, right? You start to become more cautious. You don't want to pay insurance, you don't want to get in accidents. Now you slow down and stop. And you always end up now, because you slow down and stop, you're the first car in line, aren't you? Yes. Now I'm realizing more and more too, that if you're the first car in line, if you ain't ready to gas it as soon as the gas light turns green, right? You're going to have issues. Because what does the person behind you have to do if you don't hit the gas immediately? They got to hit the horn, don't they? See if I'm right about this. All right? I'm out there kind of going, okay, that light turned green. I couldn't have got to that pedal a second earlier, and that car already had a beep at me. That would be out. Because I got to get to where I'm going. And just think now, the reason I say that when I get back to that carry in, and again, that's my own issue, by the way. I can't stand those people that do that. So if you're one of those beepers, all right, that has to beep at the car in front of you, you make me angry sometimes, all right, that would be with it. But now, I'll say in Mike's world, that happens to me on my way to work. Is there a chance I might come to work with some carry-in behavior now? Yeah, it happens. You're a product of it, I'm a product of it, but coming into work now, being that way about that car, by the way, could I control that car? Like to. I start thinking about things I could do with that car. I'm not going to lie to you. This is how Mike's mind starts to work. I start thinking of all the good things I can do to help this person. Like, you ever thought to yourself, like going old school with the middle finger, that ain't going to be any good, right? That's too outplayed. So I start going through my mind going, maybe if I go up around the block real quick and get behind them, right? You ever think about it? I could follow them to every light from here on out and go ahead and beat just because they were so nice to help me. Because if I would have never moved, you know. I even thought about waving them over, like pulling over and just waving them over for a second. So I could get out of my car and go up and thank them cordially. Hey, you know what? If you did not beat, there's a chance I would have still been there. Thank you for helping me. That would be, yeah. Boy, that's counter-aggressive, isn't it? Yeah, that's what it would be. But Mike has learned in his world that coming to work that way is not doing anybody any good. So there's counter-aggression. We'll talk about that momentarily. I just went through self-talk. I'm a big believer in it. All the practices, if you want to help people change their behavior and get through crisis-related things and control their aggression, it's all cognitive-based. It is. You might see all the other things, but none of them are proven to work beyond cognitive base. So if you start doing that little thing I showed you earlier, go to your happy place, take a deep breath, say something positive to yourself. Again, it's been researched. I just didn't make it up. So stop. Look and try to focus. Let's take my mindset from negative to positive. Because thinking negative right now is not going to make this any better. And go ahead and script yourself a response. That'll help you get through it. 3 types of aggression. You need to be aware of them because your patients, visitors, yourself included, go through all 3 on every given day. Only reason I bring this up because you can't read this down here. I wish I would have put that in different penmanship, but it says cumulative and transferable. All anger is. It builds and goes. So aggression does not just go away. You're all aggressive people in this room. In fact, if you tell me you're the only non-aggressive person in this room, I'm more worried about you. All right, yeah. No such thing out there. You're all aggressive to a certain extent. What type of aggression is important for you to know, though? Because you're going to deal with active aggressive people. They're all around you. I'm one. I grew up that way. You learn your aggression, by the way, if you didn't know this, by people who raised you. You weren't born like active aggressive or passive. You were raised that way. You were born aggressive. Now, how aggression we are was how we learned. All right? So in Mike's world, all right, and this is just a little me, you know, helping myself by venting to you all. How about having, first of all, a dad named Big Al? Right? That was my dad's name, Big Al. Nothing better than an Italian named Big Al. All right, in and out. Seen him kind of off and on. But when my dad, Big Al, little Mike, whatever age I was, when Big Al would get mad and get to the point he had enough with my mom, Big Al started lifting the furniture and throwing out the front door. Yeah. What's better than everybody in my neighborhood think I was having a yard sale on Friday nights all the time, right? Yeah, there goes the couch again, that type of thing with it. And my mom would go right back at him, and I'd sit back and I'd be watching all this going, this is interesting. But little Mike grew up to understand that I'm an active, aggressive person. Now, do I throw furniture? No. But when I get mad, can I hide it? No. I struggle. All right? If you're active, aggressive, you should know yourself. You know when you're mad, you want to just get it out and get it done with, don't you? Yeah. Us active, aggressive people, by the way, love other active, aggressive people. We get along better. Like when I worked as a cottage parent for years, a kid would wake up in the morning and I would say hi and he'd tell me to F off. I'd be like, okay, I can work with him. He's mad. Yes. We're okay. We see each other the same way. What I worry about and you need to be worried about in your setting is passive aggressive people. All right? And everybody goes, why? It's passive. Passive is a good word, isn't it? No, it's not. Almost all our staff assaults track back to passive-aggressive people. Passive-aggressive kids. Why do I say that? You have people in your hospital that should be mad and are faking like they're not. I know you do, don't you? By the way, there's some of you in here. I know you passive-aggressive people. You're probably going to yourself right now. Uh-oh. All right, he's talking about me. Yeah, passive-aggressive people prefer to bank their anger for a better day. All right? Yeah. I'm mad, but I'll play off like I'm not. Are you mad? No, I'm good. But you should be, but I'm good. Oh, okay. All right, so we kind of put them off. We do. Oh, we don't need to worry about them. They're fine. We'll get to them later. They're plotting. They're waiting, and they have the best memories of any person alive, passive-aggressive people. They remember everything you've done wrong. Everything. They trace back. They got like a record on you. Us active-aggressive people, we get it out and we move on. In fact, most of us can't remember what we were mad about afterwards. What was I mad about? I don't even know now. I'm good, right? Passive-aggressive people got the details. They're ready. They've been plotting and planning. So when they finally blow, it goes bad in a hurry because they've been thinking about this. These are the kids, when I work where I'm at, are those kids that you forget about, and they're the ones that have the weapons. They do. An active-aggressive person, for the most part, shows you their anger right off the bat. They get through it. They move on. Sometimes they do something they wish you wouldn't have. Passive-aggressive people on the other end, too, like to be aggressive. They really do. Makes them feel better. They hold on to it. In all reality, what turn happens, that counter-aggression cycle comes in. And we're all counter-aggressive people. I just prefer you not to be that way at work because it doesn't help matters. Why do you get counter-aggressive? And this is why I'm kind of venturing to go down the road with you all in this room, because I want you to understand we are a big part of it. Your mood. God, again, if some of this isn't in your thing, feel free to copy it down. This is not going to tell you have to copy it, but it's up to you. Your mood. Moody people make other people moody. They really do. Sometimes don't you just want to go around and ask people, why are you such in a bad mood? Yeah. What's your mood? Why? What do I do? Why are you going to come? And here's my surreal. I'm not surreal on you. I get this from my staff all the time. Well, Mike, you expect us to walk around being all happy all the time. No. I just don't expect you coming to work and taking out the people at work, right? Has you ever seen those people that come in? Like, I love those teachers the first day of school. Don't try me. I'm not in the mood for it. Really? Can you do that? I didn't think you can tell people. Don't try me. I'm not in the mood. If you're in a bad mood, check yourself. Find a way to play it off. Fake it. Some of you are really good at faking good moods. I wouldn't know if you're in a bad mood or not. Man, you're one good faker. But mood dictates a lot. It does. The climate of a workplace. If you have a lot of moody people, there's more crisis going on, I guarantee you. Your unmet professional expectations. I haven't gone down that road with a lot of the staff I've trained you here so far. You seem all pretty happy in what you're doing, which is good. I get that other places, though. I love when people tell me they just their certain job. So as soon as they tell me they're just a certain job, that's just what they do. It's just that job. If you don't like what you do, move up. All right? A lot of you feel like I'm always getting told what to do by somebody higher than me. What I've indirectly done in my career, I keep moving past people and do the best I can so less people have to tell me what to do. That's all I can tell you. Try to find a way to move past that. You're all going to feel rejection or helplessness. I always tell you, here's one good thing I always tell you when you come to work, do the best you can, go home. That's all you can do, right? By the way, I always know staff that working to feel like you do in my field, because you're the one I see in the car at the stoplight banging your head in the steering wheel, right? That's you, right? I know it's you, yeah. You're in your car, you're doing your thing, and you're going, oh, God, I just got to get through this, that would be out of it. Yes, because you're human. Violation of staff's personal values and beliefs. Know where that comes from, and I teach confidentiality and ethics training, and I say be very cautious what you tell people about yourself. Most of the time when they violate your personal values because you told them something about you they shouldn't have known. I don't know why, but people in general start talking. They don't know when to stop. You ever know them people? Yeah. By the way, certain things I don't tell people outside of my jobs. I'm not a licensed counselor. All right? Yeah. I never tell people what I do for a living because immediately they start telling me their problems. But I really don't want to know your problems. Yeah. But they feel the need to. Because we start talking, and then you tell some of your patients, and somebody overhears something, and then they come back at you and say something you don't like, there you roll. Just don't tell people certain things about yourself, okay? On the other end, be aware that people are very observant. If one of you said, hey, I hate baseball, and I said, well, what's the problem? Oh, I got baseball in here. Okay, what am I, silly? Yeah, I would have known what you're talking about. They would be with it. Prejudging never works well for anybody. Makes things worse by the minute. I don't know what you heard in the streets about me before you came in here. It's a loudmouth motivator going to try to get you fired up and get you out of here. I don't know. But nobody likes it. And I've always found to be the case that all prejudging is almost always negative. Do you ever hear like that sometimes that, yeah, this patient, sometimes challenging, but actually can have some good days? You don't ever get that. You always get everything's the worst case scenario. Oh, this is the worst person you're ever going to deal with. You can't believe this, that type of thing. Prejudging, nobody likes it. Be cautious of it. Unfinished psychological business, yes, we all have it. You have it, I have it, we all work through it. and then are caught up in their own cycle. That whole thing I put you in earlier, if you're non-stop in your own cycle, who good are you helping? Nah, your crisis is going on. That's what a lot of times a crisis will happen right in front of you, and you're just going, wow, I didn't see that from happening because you weren't looking. You're too busy dealing with your own that would be in there. Here's a crisis curve if you've never seen one. The only reason I bring this up, because a lot of staff always think at the top of this curve is where you do all your work. This is when Dr. Strong's in-house, right? Wish we had Terry Tate, all that stuff. But see how that red word is? If you can't read it, it says thought. We can actually still intervene here. All right, we got a patient, we got a visitor. They're not doing so well, but I think they're still thinking, can we get to them now? Because before you know it, if you don't, they blow up. And when they blow up, now that's when we think we're doing all our work, and that's not the case. But thank goodness there's this. It de-escalates, the thought comes back in, we can debrief the situation. I need to know what happened here so this don't happen again. But in all reality, the major work is done early. We can bypass a crisis by keeping our thought right and keeping them in their thinking mode and catch them before it happens. Here's what I want you to look for. And I've already said that. I kind of did a little role play with you in front of you. Okay? Look for those things I did. I'm pacing. All right? You can see I'm getting irritable. All right? You kind of almost can tell the look in my face, my posture. I'm picking it up on people in my hospital. I want to know what's going on. I start hearing them say things under their breath. I taught you self-talk earlier. People don't do well with self-talk, though. Don't you ever see people say stuff, you go, did you really say that out loud? Yeah. Say it in your head, not out loud. But a lot of times, the people will give themselves away because they don't have that skill. They're going to say things out loud that you need to pick up on and be on top of it. And I'm a big proponent of this. I teach people how to talk. And people, what do you mean by that, Mike? Here's a lot of times what happens in situations, all right? Certain things can be said in different ways and still be positive. Whenever I tell people to teach, I always say start and end positive. Even when somebody's doing something wrong. My coaching mentality is always start positive and positive. With the classes I've been teaching in this hospital, hopefully I've been starting positive and I'm going to try to end on a positive note. That would be with it. Because sometimes just the way we were talked to sets somebody off. And you know if you're yourself the same way. I can't tell you over the years my staff where I work at, and I get asked to do a lot of things. And if somebody comes up to me and says, hey Mike, you know what? That snack thing's low out there. I need you to go get me some more snacks. How long do you think I'll sit there and stare at them before I even get up to get them a snack? Right? I ain't getting you a snack anytime soon, anytime where. Mike will sit there and stare at you. But if you come up to me and, hey Mike, you know, you're really good about most of the time making sure snacks are good out there and you're one of the better trainers, I appreciate having you. Do you mind? I'm up getting you all the snacks you need. That's how it is. Approach really does matter. And think about it again, the little things I've told you, try them. Try them and see if they work. A lot of times just how you talk to somebody, the whole situation can go a different way. By the way, a lot of times violent acts, but they'll come back and tell you, well, it's just the way people are treating me. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're right. All right? That will get you there. De-escalation tips, again, your general demeanor. A lot of times just, we don't even know, but we're causing a crisis just in how we read it. Just our bad attitude, our mean-spirited look, so on and so forth. Your approach, physical movement, location. A lot of people think plain ignoring is one of the best tools out there. It's one of the worst. If I continue to pretend like I don't see that situation happening, it'll go away, right? Never does. Never does. Bad things continue to go bad in a hurry. I better get on it. I want to be moving, seeing, picking up on things. Communication's key. You guys got to talk with each other. A lot of times I always find out after a situation happened that somebody, again, knew about it and didn't tell somebody else. Got to talk. Got to tell. Active listening. You guys are doing a great job of it with me. You know what active listening entails? Attending and attuning. That means you're listening, and I can tell you're listening. Have you ever talked to somebody that you know just isn't listening to you? Yeah. Fortunately, this wall faces this way. If it was out the windows, you guys would all be looking out the window at me. I wouldn't know if you're listening to me at all, and you can't help it. When people are trying to tell you a problem, you need to do that, because they may continue to tell you where it's going to go to in a hurry. I've almost found in my career, a lot of times I bypassed the situation because they told me something I picked up on. Oh, wait a minute. What did you just say prior to that? You got a letter from somebody and you're feeling that? Let's talk about that letter. Because it had nothing to do with what they might go to, but I picked up on it. Be collaborative. I've noticed that about your hospital. You do a nice job. It seems like your people like each other. Whether you do or not, I don't know, but you seem like you do. All right? If you can change the location, sometimes that works. Never go crisis-oriented or any type of situation in front of an audience. It only gets worse. If I really had an issue with one of you in this room, do you want me to address it in front of the rest of you? Now, some of you may want to see it, but the one being addressed doesn't want it to happen, do you? No. We get worse by the minute, and most people will act out more when you do that. Let's try to see if we can get this situation isolated. Ask for slowdown, seek assistance, let's go Dr. Strong. All right, let's get help. Sometimes we have to have it. Hang with me, I only got about 1 or 2 more slides. I promise you an hour and I'm almost done. After negative energy subsides, let's get some resolution. Let's talk about problem review and solution reached. Extend offer for continued assistance and provide respectful closure. I'm huge on respect. I've done lots of research on it. It's a huge proponent that we need to deal with people. We need to be respectful. After incident, document is required. Communicate with whoever you need to. Make all your calls and follows up. I'm going to give you a couple tips on documentation. Do not write an incident report when you're still angry. Yes. Welcome to my world. Mike liked to email back in the day when I'd be angry about things on my campus, and I used the line gross dereliction of duty. Yeah, and blasted it out there to a few people. Not a good choice of words. Yeah, it didn't go over well. Mike got brought into the Vice President of Treatment's office. I got told never to do that again. Mike will never email when he's mad. Or I won't say it's sad. Yeah. Don't text, don't write when you're angry. Because when you write when you're angry, you write things you shouldn't. Write the facts. All I want to know is the facts of an incident. That's all you need to write, all right? Write it timely, don't write as a group. All right? I don't want 2 security staff writing the same report together. I need your 2 different views on this. All right, they would be with it. And please proof it. I just read an incident report recently on my campus that happened on October 33rd. All right? Is there October 33rd? Last time maybe there is. I don't know. I didn't say there was on this day. Yeah. But you got to proof it because you may put things in a report that may, unfortunately, indicate you later on that you were involved in that. Last slide, because I'm going to give you a little self-care and get you out of here. Take time to talk with others. All right? All of us need it to a certain extent. We need a little positive reinforcement. You're not going to get it all the time in your world, by the way. You need to pat yourself in the back occasionally. Self-coach, self-reward. Not everybody's going to walk around telling you an outstanding job you're doing. Give yourself a pat in the back occasionally. All right? Feel good about yourself. Seek assistance if you're getting to that point. I don't need you being the reason that we have a violent act in the workplace because you blew up. All right? If you feel yourself getting to that point, get help. That's what I provide on my campus. I had somebody just as recent, came down, Mike, you got a few minutes? 20 minutes later, they did an event about everything known to mankind in my office, and I just kept sat there, shaking my head, so on. Left, next day comes back by my office, Mike, thanks for yesterday. I'm like, well, what'd I do? I just sat there and listened to you vent for 20 minutes. They needed that. Just needed somebody to vent to, yeah. Felt better about their job. I'm like, heck, shoot, I should get paid a lot more. If that's what I can do, that would be out of it. Yeah, absolutely. And pay attention to your own. You're human beings. You're allowed to be human. And you're allowed to have issues. Just don't bring it to work. Come up with your own little scenario, own little game plan, whatever you need to do before you come into work. Leave it in your car, sing to yourself, do a little dance outside your car, whatever you need to do. Play some music in your head. But say, you know what, I'm leaving all my stuff there because I got to go into a setting I'm going to be dealing with issues all day long. And you cannot deal well with other people's issues when you got your own going on. I have found to be the case in your field that if you leave your issues wherever they're at and go help others with theirs, they don't seem as big when you go back to them. They really don't. And there's nothing you can do about them anyways at that point in time. The worst thing in our generation now, compared, and I've been around long enough I didn't have a cell phone, is that we're too tied into everything else around us when we can't control it. I don't need 4,000 texts telling me all the bad things in my life, do you? You don't. Sometimes put that cell phone down, concentrate on the matters in front of you, because you're probably, unfortunately, not picking up things you shouldn't have because you're too caught up in everything else around you. And I'll leave you with this. By the way, thank you. Great audience. Again, I've had one after another. I don't know if you're all just mesmerized or you just do the awkward stare thing, but you've been a great attendant and tuning. I appreciate it. If you really want to come down to why most people, unfortunately, act out violently, crisis-oriented, any type of thing, it comes out of 2 functions. And almost, I bet you could trace this back every time you probably found that some of you have dealt with them probably recently. There's usually a reason that we want to get something out of this violent act, or we want to get out of something. It's almost always in 2. Why do I say that? Because sometimes things are going to happen you have no control over. The intermittent explosive disorder person is going to go off, just because they do. Some people are going to go off, and you're going to have to figure out why so it continues not to happen. We don't want this crisis to happen again. So when you have that situation where you have that patient or visitor that got to the point they're flipping tables and throwing chairs and all that, and you have to do whatever you need to do, find out what they were trying to get. Here's what I guarantee you is probably the fact is they've been trying to get attention all day from somebody. But it's interesting enough, if I throw chairs, will I get your attention? Yeah, I'll have Dr. Strong and everybody else around me, won't I? Yeah. But all day long I've been trying to have somebody listen to me and you've been blowing me off. But now I got you. or they're trying to get out of something, which may be not want to be in this hospital now once I got here. So I want to get out, and the only way I'm getting out of this is through you. That would be out of it. So there's usually a function. The more apt you are willing to find that function, whether it's before or after the fact, probably the more willing you're going to be able to find out why crisis situations happen. And the function of my behavior right now is to get you all out of here, so you're done. I'm done with you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Good audience. Another one. I appreciate it. I told you I'd get you done in a timely manner. The books are yours. The pens are yours. Have fun. Please tell the rest of your colleagues it wasn't that bad so they continue to come.